atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a Kamen rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to a brand new episode of Kaiju Conversation. I should actually say a brand new bonus episode. Unfortunately, Rex could not join me today, but this is because this is actually not your typical bonus episode. This is an excerpt from Kaiju Conversation Live, Episode 2, Into the Multiverse of Marchand, where we had special guest Nathan Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault on to discuss whatever we discuss. If you don't know what Kaiju Conversation Live is, it is a monthly live stream that I host where I have one special guest. There is no script, there is no setup, we just go and we talk and we end the stream when it seems most reasonable. But for this episode, we actually had two guests, surprisingly, as Mark Bailey, the mind behind Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kids Guide, came on to discuss the recent nomination for the Rondo Award for Book of the Year. Now, unfortunately, the Rondos have came and gone, but I wanted to pull this audio from the live stream and put it on the YouTube feed, not only for you guys to be let known about Kaiju Conversation Live, but also so you could enjoy listening to Mark, Nathan, and I talk about this stuff. Without further ado, we have Into the Multiverse of Marchand, Giant Bug Cinema.
Books also can be very articulate. And we
nice segue!
Yes, great segue. And we have somebody joining us here from all the way in wherever he's at. I don't know if he's in his basement live for Kaiju Conversation. I'm not even in my basement, but I thought it was funny. We have Mr. Mark Bailey on the stream as well.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, everybody, gentlemen.
How are you?
My cat has just come to visit us. This is Roxy. Isn't she cute?
Aww.
She's a sweet cat. And she's got a little white tip on her tail. Look at that. Isn't that neat?
Oh, that's cute.
My mom calls it a tail light.
A tail light. Oh,
it's very.
There you
now
go. I got the soundboard at the ready.
So I'm wearing my Godzilla hat.
Nice.
Appropriate.
All right. And it just occurs to me, between the three of us, we probably have an incredible stash of Godzilla-related stuff. Like the DVDs right behind me. This is all.
Yeah.
That's there's some of them are pretty collectible.
You missed it at the beginning, but I have the full set of the Mondo Jet Jaguars.
Really?
I was showing them off right at the beginning.
Oh,
of the
they're
stream.
beautiful.
Yeah, I love these things.
They're slightly deformed. The heads are bigger.
No, it's the art style.
That's what I
They're all
mean.
supposed to look like that.
Yeah, hold on.
See, I'm not near my collections. Oh, the Tokyo vinyl.
Oh, no. Oh, those things are nuts.
They're really cute.
Yes, they are.
I bought them at an event in New York City, and when I finally know a Godzilla fan who's having a kid, I'm probably going to donate this to their bedroom.
Oh.
Aw.
So.
All right, Elijah, start having kids. You get more collectibles.
Right, and this Jet Jaguar I got at a toy show for like $5.
Yeah.
So that's my speed.
Yep,
That's
that's
a
the
steal.
Bandai
It
Jet. I have that one.
It is.
Too.
I saw this in the drive-in theater like 1976. I was young, had hair, and like you guys, when you watch a Godzilla movie, there's just this cool factor that just absolutely bakes your brain, and it really impressed upon us. We've been loving this stuff since we were very young, so I couldn't resist this robot. So I want to thank the both of you personally for being a part of my book. It's our book of Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kids Guide. So that is cool. You guys were gentlemen. You were a lot of fun to work with. You're both very knowledgeable, and you really know your stuff. And each of you brought your own different particular flavor in your writing styles, and some of these movies were not that great, but all of them did have some kind of viewing value. And you guys did a great job, so thank you very much.
Yeah, I know. Elijah is the one who actually told me about this project.
Yep.
He said, "Hey, you want to join in on it?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." So I contacted you, and I said, "Okay, what movies do you have left?" And I'm like, "Oh, none of the good ones." So I ended up with Monster from Green Hell, which I had actually never seen before. So it was an experience, to say the least.
At least it had a little bit of stop motion animation in it. And the movie was not completely awful.
No.
It was not good.
Which I did bring forward in my little essay there, because I did talk about how there's some interesting things in it. The female lead is not just some screaming damsel in distress. She's a little bit more proactive, but she's used. So she shows up so late that she doesn't get to contribute as much to the story, and the ending is a little odd. It's a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit like War of the Worlds, where quote unquote nature fixes its own problem, which is odd because nature didn't make the problem. They were at what were they? I'm trying to remember. What were they in that? What were the monsters in that? I can't remember now.
They were in Africa.
Yeah, there was in Africa. I'm just trying to remember what kind of
wasps.
insects. They were wasps. Yeah, the
Non-flying wasps.
Yeah, the wasps were nuclear. Well, not nuclear, but they were mutants. They were unnatural.
Right.
So,
for a low budget film, I think they managed to sneak in some weird stuff, and it didn't. The movie was so cheaply made that they were just like, "All right, do it." And some writer and director team said, "You know what? We can have a little bit of fun with this."
Mm-hmm.
It did have some unique moments to it, so that was cool.
Yeah.
You were going to say?
I was just going to say, because I'm not sure if everybody listening knows what exactly we're talking about, so I just wanted to take a quick second here to explain why all three of us are on this stream and what we're going to devote a little time here to. And that is, so Giant Bug Cinema, A Monster Kid's Guide, is a book. Mr. Bailey here reached out.
I apologize. I just spilled. My wife just gave me ginger beer, and I just spilled the glass. Everything is fine. It's caught, but I'm just like talking to you guys, and I'm like, it's not pretty.
Oops.
Yeah, could you give me a towel? Thank you. I'm a dummy because it's very good ginger beer. No,
featuring a cameo appearance by Mrs. Bailey.
She didn't take my last name. Her last name is Robosky, but she's still my wife. In the eyes of God and the government. So, that's my mom, Mrs. Bailey.
Oh, okay.
Elijah, you were saying?
Yes. So you reached out to me. I want to say, was it?
Anywhere. That's my wife. Can't take me anywhere. Paper towels.
Sorry.
Hello.
As you were.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I want to say you reached out to me. Was it 2 years ago now?
About that.
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
It was you and I, Elijah and I had the pleasure of meeting in 2018. The woman we just met sent me to G-Fest as my as an engagement present, and she has no desire to go to this. She's just the supportive spouse partner that all of us need. That if you do not have somebody who's as in love with this stuff as you are, and somebody who's at least going to tolerate it, I'm 53 years old and I'm buying robots. But I get the bills paid. I'm not on drugs. I don't have a gambling problem. I have a robot. I have a robot.
Just a little bit of caffeine, right? Like
I have a robot and a bug problem. And Elijah and I had met at G-Fest, and we were both involved in. They don't have it anymore, but the film screenings. There was a film competition, amateur film, and he and I had hit it off and stayed in touch since then. My original attempt to get this book done really didn't go very well, so I decided to do it on my own. And I said, all right, I need 28 new writers. I took it almost all from scratch. All right, let me find the people that love this stuff. I can't pay anybody, so I have to basically any money that this makes, it's going to go to charity. It's going to go to ASPCA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut some kind of a report. Once the check comes in, I'm going to take a little estimated income tax off the top, and the rest of it will be a donation lump sum to ASPCA, and that'll be that. But I had to get, that said, I had to get people involved who were willing to write 1,250 words about a movie of varying degrees of quality. Some of them, they're all worth it. They are all entertaining in some way. Some of them are much better than others. Elijah, you had a good movie.
Yes.
I did.
Okay, and that's why Nathan's jealous. I gave him a stinker. I gave him. Did you like the process, Elijah?
Wait, say the question one more time.
Did you like writing the chapter?
Yeah. So, you had reached out to me, and I want to say it was because I had posted on my Facebook status that I was a writer for Kaiju Ramen, an independent quarterly magazine. And writing is just something I enjoy. It's like a nice little side hobby.
Right.
Maybe I go a little too far sometimes. Nathan knows what I'm talking about.
I'm still fighting with that article.
How do you go too far?
Too many words.
Really?
Way too many words.
You're verbose.
Like 2 times the limit.
You delivered. You did not give me. There were some people that did not. If they didn't give you the word count, they had incredibly short paragraphs, and the space after a paragraph can be nuanced in the software that I'm using. And we only have 4 pages about this big to fill, and when some people just get creative and give you more than you can handle, and you got to keep like, okay, can you trim this down a little bit? And it was, you're project managing 28 different people of varying degrees. Some were very new and some were seasoned. And, one guy he's a screenwriter in Hollywood. And so it ran the gamut. Everything that was written was good. Okay. Everything was good. But again, thank you. You were one of the first people to come on board when I had Giant Bug Cinema 2.0, which is the version we're now celebrating. The book was done. It took about 3 years to collect all the people together. I had a couple of friends who were also contributors, Steve and Lisa. They edited the book for me, and then I started submitting it, and the book got picked up within an hour of me sending out submissions. And I was just like, okay, I'm not bragging. I am shocked. We caught lightning in a bottle. It was a good product, and it was a fun concept, and the art was cool. That's what I can see. I do have a chapter in here. It's very brief. About the Deadly Mantis. I do love that film, but it was...
What I remember best about the Deadly Mantis is the MST3K episode. I have a mantis in my pantis.
I haven't seen MST3K in a couple of years, but it's done a lot to keep some of these movies alive in the public consciousness. And when on the East Coast in Jersey, I go to an event called Chiller Theater every once in a while. And I did meet a guy who was buying movies that he originally saw on MST3K. He was buying them straight. And he wanted to see, he was basically, and I thought that was cool. Like, fine, you can make fun of the movies, but he also really had a deeper curiosity and saw that there may have been a little bit more going on underneath the hood. So he did that.
MST3K, I think, really actually brought a lot of obscure B movies to a lot of people's attention. Most famously, I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but most famously, Manos, The Hands of Fate, which probably would have faded forever into obscurity. They found it somehow, probably sitting on a shelf randomly in a video store, covered it on their show, and it became one of the most popular episodes of the show. And now that dang movie is on Blu-ray and had sequels made.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. But there are other far superior movies that are not on Blu-ray, but this thing is now.
I know.
The market's there.
Like, I own a copy of Birdemic Shock and Terror. Have you guys seen that?
I have.
Elijah?
Only on Riff Tracks.
I haven't. It's on my list.
It's not you could literally watch 30 seconds here, 10 minutes there. This is not highbrow cinema. You would get it. This not just the movie, but the guy who made it has his own story about, how do these bad movies get made, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating that this guy thought he was making something good, and it was terrible. It was absolutely awful, but it did get mentioned on like the New York Times. So once again, like lightning in a bottle,
Mm-hmm.
you take what you're given and ride it until the wheels fall off. So,
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's actually, I found out, this is the ironic thing for Monster from Green Hell.
Yeah.
If you want to rent it to stream it on Amazon Prime, which is what I did, it'll cost you, I think, $2, but you can get a joke fan, or not fan, but a humorous redub of the movie for free.
Wow.
I
You might not miss
understand.
much. But the only thing I didn't care about the MST3K, the crowd, the show itself is funny, but there's a lot of people now that are being, that start to pipe in when I'm watching a legitimate movie. Like, we saw, well, it hasn't happened in a few years, thankfully, but there are some people who decide to chime in when you're at a movie theater, and the shame of it is a lot of people aren't funny. And that's, and I'm not saying I am or you guys are or aren't. I'm just saying comedy is incredibly hard to be good at. But when you're just cracking jokes and messing up everyone else's time, you're not making friends, man. You are not winning. So I'm going to drink the last of my spilled ginger beer. So speaking of comedy, do you guys know any of the other writers?
So I haven't. I'll be honest here. I don't know any of them. I know you and I know Nathan.
That's fine. There's no shame in that. It doesn't make it. Well, you're a bad person for other reasons, but you're a horrible.
We call him the littlest gatekeeper for a reason.
Yeah, you're just the littlest gatekeeper. So there. And it has been written in an astonishing insecto script. I'm so proud of that little graphic on the bottom.
Yeah, that is funny.
It is just the whole concept behind it is giant bug. The word cinema is often referred to movie house stuff like The Bicycle Thief and movies from overseas. These wonderful, wonderful films made, and guys like you would probably appreciate because you like, weird things and you're open to those kind of experiences. So when I came out, it was kind of this title. I'm like, giant bug cinema, because none of these movies are cinema. They're all, some of them are, a good chunk of them are B movies and they're rather flunky, but they all have an entertainment value uniquely their own. So that's where the title came from.
Mm-hmm.
And the art, strangely enough, this whole thing, the little dark green patch, came from the movie poster for Monster from Green Hell.
Oh, interesting.
Hold on. Let me get my finger in there. 1 second.
Oh, no. He's going to go grab it off the shelf.
I know. I've got a DVD somewhere. Watch, now I can't find it. And that would be just loopy.
Well, while we're waiting for him to come back, Elijah, you should finally tell us what movie you covered. You never did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, dude?
So I got the privilege to cover a Godzilla movie. I talked briefly about this in my episode covering the movie that I wrote about, and I was able to get Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, which, going back to what you mentioned earlier, Mark, about going and seeing Godzilla vs. Megalon in theaters. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster was probably one of my first, I want to say, 3 Godzilla movies I saw. I watched them on VHS. I remember I specifically watched the Anchor Bay VHS of Ghidorah.
Do you still have the VHS tapes?
I do.
Good.
I do.
Do not get rid of them. Those are beautiful collectibles. The artwork is fantastic in its badness. But That movie is my personal favorite. I don't know why it is not the best. It has flaws, but Ghidra.
Is this what you were looking for?
Huh?
I can't add it to the stream. You have to do it. Is this what you were looking for?
I would say Monster from Green Hell movie poster.
Okay. I'll keep looking.
Just you literally put in that thread in your Google search or whatever search or your Bing or Flunky. We cut off Elijah. I apologize, sir.
Oh, it's all good. So I got to cover that movie. And for me, it was something really special because Ghidorah was also the first Toho Godzilla movie I got to see in theaters. A local cinema showed it a few years ago. They showed it, and I have photos from it, and I remember watching it.
Forgive me. How old were you when you saw that in the theater?
Oh God. Let's see. It had to be 2019, which is 4 years ago. Oh, I don't like
really
that.
Cool. That's really cool. That's total bragging rights.
I remember I was watching it, and I've seen Ghidorah hundreds of times.
Right.
Without the David Khaled commentary, with the David Khaled commentary, with the Japanese audio. I've watched it every single way. But there was something about seeing it in the theater. And specifically when we got to the final fights. Real quick, I'm going to pull this up here, the poster.
You found it?
Is this the one?
I just sent it to Nathan.
Oh, okay.
No, look on Facebook, and I just sent you what the young people say, a messenger.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea anymore. I'm so behind on technology.
Oh, okay. I wasn't seeing that one.
All right. So, can you share that with everybody?
Does it really
matter? I don't know. Anyway, Elijah, go.
So during the final fight, I'm watching it and I'm hearing Ifukube's sound track. I'm watching the suit actors fight it out in the suits and everything.
Right.
And it was different. For once, it wasn't, I'd seen it on VHS, I'd seen it on DVD, I'd seen it on Blu-ray. I had watched it so many ways. I know the movie front to back. But watching the final fight in theaters hit really deep for me.
Right.
I realized something about the movies that I had never understood, and it was these movies were meant to be seen on a big screen. And watching the final fight, I remember specifically the scene where Mothra goes to fight Ghidorah by herself, and Ghidorah just starts beating the living crap out of Mothra.
She gets all shot up.
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the camera pans right and up, and you see Godzilla trotting down the mountain, and the Ifukube theme hits. And I remember when I saw that, I got tears in my eyes. And
got emotional.
I was like, I knew what was coming. I've seen all of this. What was different? But it was the fact that I could hear and I could feel and I could see everything that was happening on screen.
Right.
And that alone, that movie went from one of my, almost the best to probably one of the bests for me. Was just that experience alone. So getting to write about it was really, to me, it was real personal because I could, in an actual book, I could write about a movie that I grew up with and learn to have a new appreciation for. And so when I did that, I made sure, and I just thought the whole time, I have to do the best. I have to bring out something that I've never done before. I have to hit exactly on the mark. I have to write the best review ever.
Right.
And then I did. I spent a few days on what ended up only being about, I want to say it was 4 paragraphs. But I had to get the perfect review.
Wow.
And from there, I sent it to you, and you did all of your magic, and everybody else that worked on it did their magic, and then months later, here it is.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and now I'm holding it. And then I'm gonna pull up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll see the green frame,
Mm-hmm.
and the orange and the green kind of work together. And I said, this kind of works. So this was a long time ago that I came up with this concept, and it just worked. So
That's so cool.
yeah. In the background of the cover, I had the titles of each movie. Some people were a little confused that I included Matinee from 1993 for a book that's supposed to stop at 1968, but I included it because Matinee is set in the late 60s.
Oh, it's early 60s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because the Cuban Missile Crisis. Mm-hmm.
Kennedy was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a very good homage to the whole Monster Kid culture. So it's kind of neat. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what else do you guys do with this experience that you're having right now?
Well, we have another reason to be bringing up this book, because I think it was you who told me about it, Mark. You got a hold of me. It's like, hey, guess what? You got nominated for an award.
Yep, you did.
So I've got that page pulled up right now, because we got to let everybody know about this. It was nominated. Give me a second here, for a Rondo.
Yep, Rondo Hatton.
Yep. For those who don't know, you want to tell everybody what the Rondo Awards are?
Classic Monster Movie Award. How else would you explain that? It's been around for like 20-something years, and it's basically hardcore fans and aficionados who somehow make media about classic monster movies. And I knew early on, us getting nominated for this award was part of this very, very long-term plan that I had 3 years ago. So It's incredibly cool to finally have the nod.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Rondo Awards, they're focused on horror media.
Yeah.
So there's stuff in there for podcasts, for magazines, movies, all kinds of stuff. And Giant Bug Cinema was nominated for Book of the Year Nonfiction.
Right. I think we're up against like 28 other books. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is the full list of all the books.
Right. But ours has the coolest title.
Yeah.
Our book has the most. That's what I want. That's why I picked Giant Bug Cinema, because somebody's going to scroll down that list and say Giant Bug. Some people get a little fancy, and there was a guy that I was originally working with. He wanted to call the book Insect Attack with a very lengthy statement underneath that ended with Giant Bug Cinema. I'm like, no, you don't get it. We're talking used car salesman, okay? This is like a really sleazy roadside booth of a book, okay? Go with it. Just go with it, and the kitsch is what's really important.
Right. Right. But sorry.
So yeah, I carpet bombed everybody with messages. I'm like, I made a small ad about voting for our book.
Yes. This is the thing we need to mention, is that all of you right now who are watching or listening to this, because I'm recording this so that we can share, so Elijah and I can share it on our podcast feeds to let everybody know this part of our discussion. You can go to the Rondo Awards website, and you yourselves can vote for all of these categories. That is how the winners are selected. Right. So you can make this happen for me and Elijah and Mark and the how many total writers did you say you had? 28?
It's what I call the Magic 28.
Yeah. And
That's
the other 25 people who are in this lovely book.
Right.
This is going to be great.
The one thing we have that a lot of other people don't is that we have 28 writers. We have 28 contributors on this. And I'm not asking. Do not vote twice. There are very strict rules about overdoing it. They have, and also it's just the guy who runs the Rondos is a one-man show, and let's not give him a headache. So just vote once and be fair. But geometrically, we have 28 writers, and how much will that progress out if each of them goes to their social networks and asks? And so, one cool thing I heard from the Rondos themselves is when one of the writers, a guy named Alan Dashna, he wrote and submitted our book, and the guy who runs the Rondos wrote him back and said, I've heard a lot of good things about this book. That's us. That's everyone, all of you. The two of you are, this is much yours as it is mine. I'm just the idea man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, by sheer will of insanity, I got this thing done. But no, the two of you and everyone else listed on the bottom here, this all belongs to all of you. So please be very, very proud of what you've done. You are both Rondo nominated writers. So
yes, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
If I will tell you right now, if and when we win, I will flip out.
Oh God, you'll hear me scream, without a phone call. You just hear, is that Mark? Yeah.
The only thing we'll have to figure out is, I don't know, is there like a plaque or something that you get? How do you send that out to 28 people?
Cut it down for 28 people.
Yeah, cut it up like a Hershey bar,
I don't know. I know a lot of people who have been trying to get a Rondo for years, and they didn't. And I understand momentum makes it kind of feel like it's going to go our way, but don't get deceived by that. Don't let let's just eyes on the prize. If anybody can get any kind of notoriety out of being involved in this book and being Rondo nominated, go for it. This belongs to all of you now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know how the Rondos work behind the scenes. It's really a lot of it is beyond me. So yes, be hopeful, but also let's just be realistic.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then I think we need to pull an Oscars here, and one of us needs to go up and be Will Smith and slap somebody at the Rondos.
Slap somebody, I don't know if we're going to slap them with my book.
Yeah, there you go.
Stop it. And some of the other books we're up against are, I understand. We all know what it's like to pour your soul into something and want to see it do well. And, and fine. All of us are so uniquely, just incredibly zeroed in on this one result that we won't know until next month.
Oh, actually, Danny's got an explanation for the prize here.
What's that? Danny?
Our friend Danny.
Oh, in the comments?
Yeah.
He says, the award is a statue of Rondo Hatton's beautiful face. I imagine they'll carve it up with a hot iron and ship 28 pieces out to each writer.
I would, if I had the money, I would actually pay to have mini Rondos made and sent out to people. A little, what are the 3D printer? That would be, I think that would be like a medallion. You could wear it like.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be.
Otherwise, Mark, I would say it should go to you. You're the one who put this whole thing together.
Oh yeah, I'm keeping that award. Or we would have to share it out. Like just mail it. You get it for a week.
You get it for a week. You ship it to the next guy.
And then it would be like, if you ever heard the funny stories about how the Stanley Cup was treated back in the day. They found it in someone's basement. That as an award for professional sports, it was incredibly abused.
Wow.
So yeah, there would be people taking pictures with this Rondo award at a bar or in a men's bathroom at a truck stop, or anything you could imagine, which would kind of add to the award. Yeah. So who is this? Daniel
DeMana. He's a friend of ours. He runs the Godzilla novelization project.
Wow. Nice to meet you, Dan.
He's also apparently a talented actor and singer.
Have I seen him in anything?
Well, he's been on both. No, he hasn't been on Kaiju Conversation. He's been on my podcast. He as both an actor, a co-host, and he's done singing. He sang the theme song for Elijah's show.
He did. Now, let me ask you a question, Mark. Have you seen the cinematic masterpiece known as Zillafoot?
I saw the trailer for it. I saw the trailer.
Now, if you watch that, you'll see a work he's in and I'm in.
Do you recommend it?
Uh,
Are we challenging each other?
Pure cinema.
you know,
Have you ever wanted to see what would happen if Godzilla and King Kong had a baby and it fought an Ultraman pastiche?
Yeah.
There you go.
but have you heard of the Poloni brothers and their low budget horror stuff?
I have not.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, imagine like just a group of friends that have no money, but they have a camera and they have a little bit of weird stuff, and they just use whatever they can to make them make a. I don't know if it's a movie.
I'm looking at the IMDb right now.
You might want to drink some alcohol. Then it might be fun.
That's funny.
Danny is freaking out in the chat.
Really?
Danny says, "Do not recommend Zillafoot."
No, the exact word is,
I'm not a
"Dear
nice
God,
man,
do
Danny.
not recommend Zillafoot to this nice man."
There is some serious skullduggery coming out of this, so I am not a nice man. Dear God, do not recommend Zillafoot to this man. It's all right. I got people to write for this, so, and you know, again, they're not all bad, so trust me. There was a quote by Stan Lee, Marvel Comics, and I have never been able to find it, and I heard it on television, and maybe the memory has just become elastic and changed and evolved over years, but it was something like, he didn't make fun of bad movies, but he did say, "I'm surprised that they turned out as good as they did, that things went as well as they could." And this is a guy who has seen things unravel at that cost a great deal of money. And that always stuck with me about, you know, this guy gets it. This guy can actually has some perspective in what it takes to make a movie. And yeah, sometimes you can't control the finished product, or it's incredibly hard to do that. And it's not that great. And you know what? It took a lot to do and show it a little bit of love. I'm not saying that you should tell people something that is bad is actually good. No. It's, you know, we were talking about Birdemic Shock and Terror. That is a bad movie, but it just has a great deal of entertainment value.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
that always stuck with me.
You know, to that point,
Please.
I've posted about this on my social medias. I'm currently developing what will be my first feature-length film. And it's just me doing everything. And I don't expect it to be the next, like, Jaws. But there is a lot of work that goes into, even at the tiniest level, of production. There's so much that has to be done for every little thing. And, you know, we've been talking about your book, our book. I don't know what the technicality would be here, but I mean, it took years to get Giant Bug Cinema to the point of completion.
Yep.
And I think one of the best things that I've learned from this experience, this book, is how difficult it is to get a book from concept to completion. There are so many moving parts. I remember you said that once. You said there's a lot of moving parts to this. And that statement stuck with me for so long because I didn't think about that.
Yep.
But it eventually clicked. It was like, there is so much here. And all of that hard work and all of that effort that every one of us put in, whether it was the artwork or the typography or the actual writing or the editing or just the placement of everything, a ton of thought went into every little bit of this book. And, you know, to hear that from the get-go you had the dream of getting it nommed for a Rondo, it shines through because of how hard you worked on it and how hard everybody else worked on it. And to see the final product go to the point where you wanted it to go is really remarkable and quite commendable, because a lot of people, you know, it's hard to say this, but a lot of people who are creatives have difficulties getting to that end goal because there are so many things that happen. Production is a mess, but it's fighting every roadblock to get to the next stop. And all of these films that are covered, from the Lost Spider Pit sequence all the way to Minity, they all had roadblocks. They all had to fight something to get to completion.
Wait. Elijah, did you say manatee?
Did I?
That sounded like manatee.
Yeah.
You mean matinee?
Yes.
You
said manatee.
We might do a version of this book if it has aquatic mammals. 1950s aquatic mammal horror movies. Let him have it. Please. I grew up in Long Island, New York. We butcher the English language. Talk with my hands a lot. It's all right. Let him have man feet.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I was like, wait, Elijah, were you a little less Dixie there for a second?
I think so. I need to articulate better.
There you go.
No, you said manatee beautifully.
Yes, he did.
Spot on. It's the wrong word, but it's okay. Big deal.
But
the two of you produce a lot of media as well, and you guys understand what it is to have a finished product and not get bogged down in unfinished products.
Mm-hmm.
I give presentations about monster movies in New York City, and I do another presentation about the ways we love bad movies. And I talk a little bit. I get a show of hands. I'm like, how many of you guys are creatives? Does anyone produce? Is anyone a filmmaker? Anyone a writer? And you start to get a show of hands. And once you start to make the audience feel, heard and feel important, they light up. They hang on your every word. I do take them seriously. I'm not just doing this to dupe anybody, but I tell them, I'm like, finish what you start, or else you're going to have a hard drive full of broken dreams and unfinished products. And just finish what you start. And the two of you are exceptionally good at that. So you guys need to understand that now. The three of us are in very good company.
Mm-hmm.
This worked. And speaking to Elijah's filmmaking, because of a great deal of pre-planning. Like I'm an amateur animator. We storyboard everything. You make a small comic book of the movie first, of the animation first, and then you make it all happen cinematically. And the storyboards are a massive task unto themselves, because you're picturing camera shots, and you can imagine. But to speak to what you were talking about, being making your own next film and what you need to be successful, again, and this, it's pre-planning. Really get as much done as possible ahead of time, so you can deal with the curveballs that are going to come your way. And if you're good, the curveballs will spark a creative response that you hadn't thought of, and only make the work that much better and make you more resourceful for the next project. So listen to your Uncle Mark. Listen to your Uncle Mark. So I'm sorry, my cat was I'm looking at her, and she was just cleaning herself, and just like, and she's listening to the two of you, so she's really enjoying it. Cheers.
So, I mean, if one thing that I want, at least I want the listeners to get from this, is please go out there and not just for me. I know this is my show, but I'm not speaking for me when I say this. Please go support Giant Bug Cinema. Go vote appropriately for the Rondo. Go buy it off Amazon, whether it's the hard copy or the soft copy. Go to Bear Manor
Media.
Thank you. I need more caffeine.
No, you're fine.
Hell yeah, you got to try those energy drinks I was showing up to.
I know. I'm gonna have to. But go support this book, because it's not just something for me. It's for Nathan. It's for Mark. It's for the 25 others here that worked on this book.
Yeah, Elijah, in our private chat, I just sent links to both the Rondo Awards and the Amazon page for the book for you to share in the chat.
Okay.
So if people want to just go directly there right now while we're talking, they can go do that right now.
And for anybody listening, you can, I'm going to at least put in my show notes, Nathan. Go look in the show notes in the below description, and go and find those links and support this book, because a lot of hard work went into this. And it would mean the world to me to help support these other people who strive to do creative work, because creative work is hard, like Mark said. It's very difficult. And
just to give people we've talked about the ones that Elijah and I have written, but there's a whole swath of this. The theme obviously is about giant bugs in movies. And you get, you mentioned the Lost Spider Pit sequence, but you also get some true classics in this covered, like Them. I think that's a genuinely good movie. The Black Scorpion, I think, is underestimated a little bit. And look here, The Incredible Shrinking Man, The Fly, the original Fly, let me see, Mothra, obviously, that's a classic. Godzilla versus the Thing, or Mothra versus Godzilla. So we got some Godzilla movies in this. Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. Son of Godzilla. The Quatermass in the Pit. That's an interesting one. And we did talk about Matinee is in this as well.
Right. And Nathan, I just sent you a link, a Facebook message with the graphic to vote. I don't know if you want to use it in any capacity. It's okay if you cannot.
No, it's fine. I have actually used this, and actually I think I will save this version now, because that looks like the perfect dimensions to use as a thumbnail for the podcast.
Right. So what else do you guys do when you two get together in this environment, in this platform?
Oh, we're just chatting.
Right. No, I know it's free form, but obviously, kaiju movies, Godzilla movies. I'm in the middle of watching Pacific Rim.
Oh,
yes. My wife and I went to go see Guillermo del Toro, the Pinocchio exhibit at the MoMA in New York City, and that was wonderful. He's just wonderful at anything that he does. That's an insanely talented man. I love the first two Hellboy movies. He's a very good monster creator. So
he loves Tokusatsu too.
He does.
His, actually, I think one of his favorite kaiju of all time is technically an insect,
right?
But it's Baltan,
really,
from Ultraman.
I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not that I'm not a big fan of Ultraman. I'm just not that familiar with it. I had a job where I was working second shift. It was like 2 to 11 at night, and the evenings got pretty slow. And I watched every episode of Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, and that was fried brain damage, and it was awesome. It's just, oh man, it was like PCP laced heroin, marijuana, formaldehyde soaked marijuana just rotting your brain. And it was awesome. When I was a kid, Marvel Comics produced a Godzilla comic for two years.
Yes.
24 issues.
I've read it.
Excellent. And there was not a lot of Godzilla media in this country. It was all in Japan. And so I was 7 years old, and I managed to score all the issues.
Mm.
And following that, the same artist, Herb Trimp, went on to do Shogun Warriors for 2 years. If you look at those 4 years of comic books, you'll see a lot of the villain monsters look like they came out of Johnny Sacco. It started to occur to me, that looks familiar. And I think they just sat him down in front of a TV, or they got a hold of these screening rooms and let him watch some of these monsters. And there were moments that like, wow, that really looks like something out of Johnny Sacco. And I spoke to Herb Trimp about it. I'm like, how did you come up with all these monsters? Like, I just did what they told me. He wasn't necessarily the biggest Godzilla fan. It was just a paid gig for him. He's better known in the comic book world for working on like G.I. Joe in the 80s. That's much more his style. He's proud of his work on Godzilla. He passed away a few years ago. Like, I found an issue #1 of Godzilla for $1, and I walked over and I had him sign it for free, and I gave it to JD Lees for at G-Fest 1 year, and I'm like, he was really moved by it, but I'm like, I'm not going to do this to you. I got it for $1, and the signature was free. It's okay. I don't want to feel indebted. But Johnny Sacco was a lot of fun. And there was an anime called Giant Robo. Have you guys seen that?
Tatsujin 28?
Yeah. And now
I've seen a little bit of it.
I've been recently collecting those because that's a lot of fun. I also like a lot of mecha anime. I was really moved by Robotech in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
There's one called Orgus and Orgus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Megazone 23. These all have intricate transforming robots, that are not quote unquote transformers. But that's pretty much, I'm also as a Star Wars kid. I was 7 years old when Star Wars came out, so that really kind of burned in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So Godzilla, I think I was at a public library with my mom, and I was in my early 20s, and I took out Godzilla versus the Sea Monster and forced her to watch it with me. She did. No, she was a good sport. She was like, oh, I do remember this. And that's kind of like that early 90s where I fell in love with it all over again. And here I am now. So.
And now you're getting an award for it.
Yeah, well, we're nominated.
Yeah.
Elijah, did you catch that fish on the wall?
No,
Yeah.
that's
so
it doesn't. But my co-host,
bad jokes.
So the only reason the fish is still in my frame is pre-podcast recordings. Rex and I, my co-host, we get on cam and we just chat. We chat for like 20-30 minutes. And when I got this webcam, I set it here because I wanted a more dynamic shot. And it just so happens the fish is in the shot. And Rex has made it very clear to me that if I don't include the fish, there's a problem. So he's like our unofficial, like, second mascot.
Yeah.
That just appeared. And Danny just posted that I get asked about the fish a lot. And I do.
Cool
I do.
You need to name him at this point.
Yeah. It is a cool fish. And that dresser is incredibly shiny.
Yeah.
That thing is just, I could brush my teeth in front of that thing.
It also helps that I decided, I told Nathan start of the stream, I'm trying to do a little Ultraman lighting here, the dramatic lighting from below. I've got one of my studio lights behind me, I've got one in front of me, and then I've got my ring right here. So
right, I turned this on so I could look a little
right
better, but it's on, and this lamp gets incredibly hot. It's this thing I could light a cigar off of it.
Yeah.
So,
leave it to Elijah to make a live stream look cinematic.
Look, I got to, and if I wanted to, I could change the colors. So now I look like I'm in an Adam Wingard movie.
Actually, Danny has a name suggestion for the fish.
Mortimer T. Fish.
Mortimer T. Fish.
All right, so what do you guys plan for the weekend? Anything?
I'll be doing some podcast recording tomorrow, possibly seeing John Wick 4, and catching up on some personal projects.
Cool. Elijah?
Work. That's all I do is work, no matter what.
Well, you're here now.
I mean, this is kind of working.
It is. No, but you're making it count. I know people who do nothing but work and sleep, and they don't, what happens in 20 years when that goes by and you have nothing to show for it. Not all of us have as much time as we do, or at least you guys have creative drive. Don't ever give that up. Seriously, just always fight to have some kernel of time that you can do this stuff. So have
Mark,
relationships.
I don't think you realize how much I appreciate hearing that right now.
Right. All right. I need to go help my wife. When my cat has to get a subcutaneous shot, so we need to drug him, put him in a little bondage bag, put a mask on him. I'm not kidding. Then you unzip side of the bag, pull out a little flap of skin, and put a needle in there. And my wife has to squeeze this bag of a fluid that needs to be a certain temperature, and it goes through this little crazy straw thing and into the needle, and the cat gets his vitamins that way. He has ailing kidneys, and it happens with pets, and we've been doing this for a while, and we now have a cat who's all effed up, and we have to find him in his narcotic state and put him in a bag and give him a shot. So
that sounds all kinds of fun.
Before you leave,
it's pet ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Please, Alexa.
Before you leave, I always want to make sure I do this proper, because I appreciate it when anybody comes onto my show.
Well, thank you. No, this is fun. I would love to do it again.
We should definitely do it again. I could have you on for another one.
I have to be good. The whole thing is, your show requires talent, and for me to get on here and ramble, some of these folks that I'm looking at right now might just click off and go apply ointment to their feet. I don't, because I'm not that interesting.
Well, you have done some interesting stuff. So
well,
if you want to,
you guys are darned interesting.
Oh, thanks.
Continue.
If you want to right now, I would love it if you wanted to just drop some self-promotion for anything you've done that you want people to go. And yeah.
Should I say the thing, Elijah?
The shameless self-promotion?
Shameless self-promotion! There. It's one of the shticks on my podcast.
I've nycgmam.com, New York City Giant Monster Attack Map.com is my interactive map of monster movies in New York City. I've been working on that for years. Below that is a link to my YouTube page and all of my cartoons. I haven't updated the map in a few years, and I haven't made a cartoon in a few years. But I did produce a book.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear it. Here. So That's really about it. I just woke up the cat. She's now freaked out.
Is she glaring at you with murderous intent?
I think so. I think there's going to be some biting going on very soon.
Uh-oh.
So, but no. But thank you guys. You two have really helped make this happen, and it's very nice to be with other creatives, especially guys who like monster movies.
Yes,
that's just a level of badass that you just don't get very often. So, Jet Jaguar says good night. You guys are awesome. Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. Let nothing stop. Let nothing slow you down. But yes, pay your bills. Keep working. Don't totally nerd out with your loved ones because again, people will roll. You have me to talk to this stuff. Talk about. If you can find a partner or a spouse that will put up with this stuff, God bless them. So, all right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Alrighty.
Thanks, fellas. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
You too.
And with that concludes this bonus episode of Kaiju Conversation, where you got to listen to an excerpt from our live stream, Kaiju Conversation Live, Episode 2, Into the Multiverse of Marchand. So, thanks to Nathan for coming on to the live stream. It was a lot of fun. And a huge thanks to Mark Bailey for coming on to not only have fun with us talking about whatever, but also coming on to talk about Giant Bug Cinema. That was an amazing opportunity. Just so you guys know, as of this recording, the rondos have already happened. We did not do bad. We did very well in the votes. However, we did not win. But that's okay, because we still had the opportunity, and that's what matters. My old theater teacher used to always say, thank people for the opportunity they gave you, because they could have just ignored you. So thanks to Mark for the opportunity, thank you to Nathan for giving me the opportunity to have him on, so we could talk about this book, and a huge thanks to the Rondos for nominating us and giving us that opportunity. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here. So, if you want to support me, Elijah, you can find me on YouTube at ET13 Production, on Twitter at ET13 Productions, or on Instagram at ET13 Productions. If you want to find my personals, I'm not going to tell you, but it's pretty easy to find them. As for Rex, he can't be here, so I'm going to put the shameless self-promotion in for him. You can find him on YouTube at RexZeno, on Twitter at Rex_Xenomorph, and on Instagram at RexZeno. If you want to check out his writing, go to Tokunet and check out his writing, or he has that Kaiju blog where he has interviews and other little writings. Please check him out. Rex does a ton. I wish he could be on for more of these bonus things, but unfortunately, due to time zones, that can't happen. But as for the podcast, don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. If you don't have an Apple device, which I don't blame you, I don't, that's actually a lie. I use a MacBook to do this podcast. You can rate us on Spotify, however. If you want to stay up to date with all things Kaiju Conversation related, follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook. If you're like me before podcasting and you don't have any social media, lucky you, you can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews on air for everyone to hear. We also have a Teespring store. Eventually we'll have original artwork on there, but until then, you can sport our awesome logo on a t-shirt or maybe even a coffee mug. If you'd like to chat with us, check out our Discord server full of others that have similar interests to you. It's a great community full of great people. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. Sometimes we post exclusives to the channel like bloopers for episodes or mini-sodes, talking about news or other subjects. We also have an interview with Mechagodzilla designer Jared Kuchevsky on the channel. I probably botched his name. I apologize. And a huge thanks again to Rex for editing all of these episodes. Actually, I edited this one, but he did do a little bit, so a little pat on the back for me, but it's still a huge thanks to Rex. He edits all of our content, and his stuff can be found below. Also in the description below will be a link to Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kids guide, on Amazon where you can purchase it. Along with Rex, we'd like to give a huge thanks and shout out to Danny DeManna of the Godzilla Novelization Project for his amazing vocals on our theme song. You can support him by following him on Twitter at Danzilla93_GNP, or visit his website GodzillaNovelizationProject.com. And a huge thanks to Grattan Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS for composing the music for our theme song. You can support him by following the podcast on Twitter at Giant Monster BS, or on any podcast platform under the name Giant Monster BS. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here. So thank you guys so much for checking out this bonus episode. Thank you all who voted. Thank you again to Mark and Nathan for being on. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, please remember, life's too short to not talk big. Bye, guys.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby.